0. All engine. We have liftoff. Liftoff on Apollo.
The Cold War was a prime time in history. While it was one of the most dangerous time periods with the world at constant threat of nuclear annihilation, it was also a prime time period for space travel. And while the Americans were rolling out their shuttle, the one we know of, the Soviets had their own lesser known counterpart, the Buran and Energia. That brings us to the topic of today's video. I have recreated a Buran orbiter and an Energia launch platform. Now, this may just look like a shuttle with 4 boosters. There are fundamental differences in how they get into orbit and other such things. For one, the Energia's boosters are liquid fueled as opposed to the shuttle's solid boosters. While this probably seems like a minor thing, if you've noticed by now, the Buran has no main engines. And actually those boosters clipped the wings, and I got scared for a second, but it was fine. It was just damaging the boosters. Anyway, now that the boosters are gone, it should be very, very clear that those main engines are not on the orbiter, but on the fuel tank. That's because the Energia is a separate rocket. It's an expendable rocket, while the Buran is the only reusable part. And this thing was struggling with control issues before, so I just strapped a ton of Werner engines on there, and yeah, got it to go. So we can separate that, and we can continue on our flight path. Oh, I accidentally just hit my microphone there. But we can continue on the flight path with just the orbital maneuvering engines. And we've opened the payload doors, which I've also set to lock the control surfaces, just because I think it looks a bit nicer to not have them, like doing their thing in space. But you can now see the payload, which is a module for my space station. This is a docking module. It's actually for setup for another video I have in mind. I did not have an inflatable airlock attached to the station, so I need that for docking. But peaked my microphone once again. But yeah, we can simply line up the we can line up the maneuvers and begin our burn. As I was trying to say, we can line up the intersection and begin to do the burn to line ourselves up. So, if you're wondering why I haven't posted in months, I've been quite busy with school, and it takes the recording software I use uses up so much disk space. Like the files are massive. But anyway, we've approached the target. We're at our intersection node, and we can begin the target retrograde burn to slow ourselves to a halt relative to the target. And then we simply just go to the target, and then, yeah, we have rendezvous. And then, of course, we can dock that module, and then dock the Buran orbiter itself, because, why not? Actually, no, it was because I needed to put a little bit of extra fuel in the Buran orbiter, because that needed to happen. But we can see the station coming up, and she's quite the nice looking station, I will say. She has one orange fuel tank, one of those big orange fuel tanks. I don't know if I peaked my microphone. I'm kind of watching the video preview. I'm getting off topic. But as you can see, it has a giant radiator, some big solar panels, a gravity ring, as well as an orange tank. So we can detach the payload from the cargo bay of the Buran orbiter, and we can begin to use the RCS stuck to it to attach it. This also has a docking node for junior docking port. This is kind of like a more inclusive docking unit, because the one I currently have only has room for standard sized docking ports. There are other junior sized docking ports on the station itself. Those are meant to be hard points for a sort of Canadarm setup that I'm thinking about bringing in my next video. So we're just aligning ourselves. I was kind of pressed for time while, recording this part of the mission. So yeah, but we got ourselves beautifully lined up, and we can get that inflatable airlock sticking the right way. And in just a second, we will attach to the station. And then we have to dock the orbiter, transfer the fuel, and we can begin our landing or descent back down to Kerbin. Quite the simple mission, I will say. But the main focus is the Buran orbiter and and this little miniature history lesson I gave, which sucks, like for real. I am not really a history teacher. I am in 8th grade. I am an 8th grader that plays Kerbal Space Program on a computer and records their audio underneath a blanket with an Xbox headset. But yeah, gave a little history lesson on space. And now that I got that part out of the way, we're docked. I kind of just needed to stall for time. And yeah. So, peek my microphone. I lost the footage for the undocking, but it did happen. And now we're doing the re-entry part. This part is, actually, I've only managed to do 2 runway landings. I'm not the best. This is a really, really amazing runway landing. I'm going to use this strategy for, this is definitely the best runway landing I've ever had. I'm definitely going to be using this strategy to land all my space shuttles and space planes in the future. Because usually they're always either water landings or crash landings where just the impact tolerance of the cockpit is what allows it to exist. But as you can see, I'm just going to adjust to line up with the KSC, and I realized I'm starting to re-enter. So I just had to do the prograde burn, the small prograde burn to get lined up. And then I decided I'm going to have to do a bit more prograde burning to line up. Because, spoiler alert, the successful landing that you're going to see in this video is my second attempt. The first one I kind of just spun out of control and missed the runway. I missed the runway, so yeah. As you can see, that nose cone up front is getting quite toasty, but everything else is doing very well. And yet, just gotta get the daily peaking the peaking the G-force meter out. Just gotta get on my daily dose of peaking the G-force meter. Time warp, because again, pretty pressed for time while making this. I wanted to get this video out. Hopefully, I'm recording this on a Friday. I'm hoping that it's rendered and posted same day. But peak my microphone. This mic is quite sensitive. I do a lot of screaming into it, and you can see where I kind of spun out, and where I cut to my quick save to go with this other one. I know technically I shouldn't do that with those engines in the atmosphere, but I did anyway. So we're on glide slope. That looked like a slideshow for me, really bad one as well. But we're on glide slope, and we're approaching the runway and slowing down. I completely forgot what I was talking about before. You can open that air brake in the tail and touch down at a graceful 30 meters per second. Deploy the drogue chutes. There's 3 of them. The American shuttle had 1. There's 3 on the Buran. They're very much so clipping into each other, but I do not care because I have a beautiful, beautiful runway landing. I decided to let the drogue chutes and just friction from the wheels slow it to a halt, but that was taking too long, and I kind of want to get this done a bit faster, so I just put on the wheel brakes. Those were infinitely more powerful than those drogue chutes. I just kind of like deploying them because, it's fun. It, brings the whole space shuttle thing together. But we can recover the orbiter, and I can begin to close out this video. If it would, not be on this black screen, I could start to do my outro. And, yeah. So, that is the end of the mission. You've got our astronauts back home safe. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing, leaving a like, and a comment. It helps me out a whole bunch. And of course, have a nice week, have a nice day, whatever period of time. Have a nice week.